And it is quite impressive, guys, to think that Polt, a guy who was manhandling Zergs yesterday, you know, can himself be sort of manhandled by a Protoss. And although there were just a few mistakes here, and this is a brand new, fresh start to a game, you know, the MC, he's definitely still got it, man.
He looked
really
dominant
does.
in that last game.
He really does. Why don't you introduce our players, Wolf?
Okay, down here at the bottom left, we have our Terran player from the team TSL. It is TSL's Polt. And at the top right, formerly of the team OGS, currently of the team SK Gaming, it is SKMC. Just a very strong Protoss, known for his timing attacks, but also, you know, he's changed his style up so much. He's been able to play longer and longer games, and I feel like in foreign events especially, he's showing the late game. In Korean events, he does really like his 2-base timings. Doesn't seem to be as comfortable taking a 3rd base, and sometimes when he does take a 3rd base, he just looks a little bit uncomfortable and sometimes just dies as a result. So I can understand that. For example, in his games against Ganji, it seemed like he was trying to do too much there, taking his 3rd base. This is from Code A, and you know, I feel like MC in foreign events, just even against Koreans like Polt, feels more comfortable playing the longer game. And his style nowadays, like Axelav said, is just so safe and so gateway heavy. He likes to build the army. He like shoots first, asks questions later with his style sometimes.
You know, I just want to also point out is that this is probably one of those few times where every remaining Zerg player is rooting heavily for the Protoss player MC. And the reason why is because if you could eliminate one Terran from the top 6, I think that most Zergs would like to see Polt go.
Yeah.
Violet, Stefano, Symbol, just, you know, I think that they are hoping that MC can take this to eliminate that potential threat. He really has been shutting down their games.
That's such
all
a
weekend.
good point, man. That is actually really a good point by you, because that's definitely what they're hoping for. By the way, we have Polt going with a command center first here. Now I'm wondering how MC is going to alter his build as a result. He does continue to mine gas here. Will he actually just skip the core and go for Gateway? He's also Croning boosting out that Zealot before core, so it looks like he wants to put a little bit of pressure on here. I don't know how much I actually agree with this, because normally when you see the Zealot boost coming out here, it doesn't actually do as much damage as you hope it does. By the time you get there, usually there are 2 Marines out with good micro and pulling SCVs. You usually don't lose too much. So I'm curious to see how this is going to work out for MC. That Zealot's also going to allow him to get this Nexus up without Stalkers a little bit more comfortably. But Polt definitely taking an early command center lead here.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you absolutely as far as that Zealot is concerned. We do have the barracks done now, and the first Marine is on its way, but a supply block coming out here from Polt. As there we go, supply depot finishing up, and the first Marine will come out. And again, you know, he's just going to have, well, half a Marine out.
Yeah, well, the Zealot can damage the command center, but that's good. There's a wall here, and now the Marine will be able to ward off. He may be able to kill this SCV that's trapped on the outside, which, you know, in the end, is that actually even worth it? I don't necessarily think so. In fact,
the SCV, I mean, look at that. Put the Marine on the high ground, float the SCV around. Like, really, he's already morphing his orbital, so is he losing that much in this situation? No, whereas, like, MC did, you know, he did give up a Chrono Boost just to get that Zealot out there as quickly as possible.
Snow's MC here, even like in his control, he's actually just checking to see if a Marine comes down. He's checking the ramp, but he's not actually trying to do too much with this. Not even trying to damage the command center, because he knows that's not going to even be important at the end of the day. So that was, you know, some extra insight we were able to get there, thanks to the first-person view. At this point, Polt adding 2 additional barracks, going up to 4, and this will allow him to do a pretty big Marine push with the additional 4 barracks. Like, when you hit that timing with about 15 Marines or so, it's pretty tough for the Protoss to hold, especially if he's gone Sentry heavy, because the Sentries just do not do that much DPS. You have to have great force fields. You don't have as many Zealots and Stalkers to hold, so you have to be very careful against something like that.
Well, and you know, what do you think about the whole concept of the early CC sort of forcing out, or at least allowing your opponent to go, yeah, okay, I can take this Nexus, and then following up with something like this? I mean, you know, you think that's kind of a part of his ongoing plan, or do you think
I think so. Okay. I think so. And in a way, every time you go for a fast command center like this, it does kind of bait out some aggression from MC. You put that Zealot out there, didn't really accomplish a lot. That's a use of a Chrono Boost he spent. He made a Zealot that arguably he didn't even necessarily have to make. He might have wanted to go for the Stalker first. And get that Nexus out a little bit faster, not spend the 100 minerals on the Zealot in general. So MC just basically doing that to get some additional scouting information, to feel a little bit more comfortable going into the next phase here. We see Polt actually going double reactor and a tech lab going down I love this decision by MC. I think this is one of the most brilliant choices he could make, getting the third Nexus. He's going to be playing a little bit like Parting here, getting the third Nexus up, and as soon he will throw down a ton of gateways, likely going up to about 8, and then he's going to bully Polt into staying on 2 bases.
Right, and I mean, now suddenly the advantage that Polt could have had with that sort of forcing that Nexus and MC sort of, you know, capitalizing on that as well. I don't think, well, you do have a pylon coming up here pretty early by MC. We haven't seen those additional gateways go down quite yet, but Warp Gate is finished up. He is going to be taking additional 2 gas at his naturals. We have a move out coming out here, and there is a scan to see absolutely nothing at the natural.
He sees no units there, and he sees the double gases going down fairly late. It's going to make him want to check for pylons now, and in general, you want to check for pylons at this timing generally anyways. Back on the production tab and in MC's main base, you can see 5 additional gateways going up here. And I like that he waited. He had the watchtower, and he set the probe over to set a pylon just to make sure that Polt wasn't going for that super early Marine push at his Nexus, because then he would have been in an uncomfortable position, so he waited until it was safe. Now he's powering up the gateways. He's not going to cancel his Nexus. He knows he's got that up safely now. His probe count is 49 to 45 SCVs. And look at how much pressure he's putting on already before the gateways are even done.
Yeah.
And he's about to have a ton of warp-ins to use if he chooses to.
And that, I think that's going to be the big question, Wolf. I mean, it seems a little bit suspect to actually, you know, poke. If he was wanting to do a lot of damage with the element of surprise, then I suppose he would have waited for those gateways to finish. But he's kind of put Polt into a defensive posture. But that's what you said. You wanted to bully him to kind of stay on those 2 bases, not really allow him to feel safe to throw down that CC and be able to establish that. We do have another warp in of Stalkers over here to that north proxy pylon, and MC is just content here with taking over the Xel'Naga tower. He is now going to move forward, but it looks like the Bioforce has extended itself out just a little bit with those rocks there. That's not an engagement that MC wants to make.
He cannot fight there. You're exactly right. The better concave for Polt at the top of the ramp is going to make it impossible for MC to break through that narrow choke point. But he's continuing to be aggressive here. And in fact, even if MC attacked with a good position, it would be tough for him to win this fight. And in fact, I don't think he's going to attack here. He's just scaring Polt. Polt hasn't made a 3rd command center yet. He has not, moved towards the low ground. He's just making medevacs and getting ready to kind of push MC away. There's the 3rd command center going down at the natural for Polt, but he does not feel comfortable moving at his 3rd base. It's a little bit late. MC's mining from 3 bases right now. He's starting to tech. He's taking his 5th and 6th gases. Twilight Council is finishing up. He's probably going to go Blink first here to start denying those drops. All the timings here for MC, not only have they been safe, but they've been so crisp.
They really have been, even to the gateways, to pushing forward, forcing Polt to come out a little bit.
Look at this. He's even going to go Dark Shrine with the Templar Archives. That's going to allow him some extra harassment potential at the 3rd base and potential extra drop defense as well. Yeah,
I think that's a great point. You know, you're getting attacked at a 3rd, your opponent's burned to scans or has already dropped their mules, and you're sitting in a good position. MC moving out just a little bit. This is just a small force. As far as he sees, he's going to pop his Guardian Shield, but not necessarily commit. Right now, it could be that his 3rd will be under fire here momentarily. The factory out for scouting, he will go ahead and begin to do some damage on that, but he's going to pull back. And I think it's wise that neither player really wants to fully commit to this battle quite yet.
It's a tough battle to tell who's going to win. There are a lot of medevacs out here for Polt, and he does have his upgrades on the way, but they're just not quite done yet. Notice his armory timing is really nice here for him to start his 2-2 as well. So that's something he's going to have over MC very slowly here. Factory will fall, so good that he cut that armory up before that happened as well here. Polt actually going to back up a little bit, but as he does so, he sends 2 drops to the main. But just like last game, he's totally ready. Stalker's in position, even having the High Templar there for the feedback. What will Polt really be able to do this drop? Not a whole lot.
Did he fly through the vision of that eastern Xel'Naga tower? Is that how he? It must have been. It must have just flown through. He's going to go ahead and pick up, do some healing there real quick. And he is going to make his way in there. Oh, there's a feedback on 1, but he does manage to get out of there safely. But once again, MC's drop defense just immaculate right now. And Polt has got to be asking himself, how do I break through this armor?
How do I break through the armor? How do I find an opening here? Great force fields by MC, cutting that army off. That means that stim that was forced there. I mean, if you trade that much medevac energy for that much sentry energy, it's a pretty good trade. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is actually going to be really bad potentially for Polt. And MC actually going to catch this drop in the north, showing his superior multitasking here. And at this point, Polt is not really dealt with the DTs. He's starting to pull his SCVs away a little bit, but he's already lost so much. He's trying to decide what he wants to do with his main army. He's going to send it to the third base of MC. There are Templar waiting there, but Storm is not quite done yet. Weed, I think he wants to buy a little bit more time here.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be really tough. He's going to have to morph an Archon, but this third Nexus is going to go down. Meanwhile, that DT is still doing damage. It looks like he's taken out the one that was heading to the Nacrel. And here we see from the back, the big flank, the force field's going down. The third has fallen, but now Polt in a pretty terrible position as long as MC can keep his units alive. Here we have a warp in from the back as well.
Polt's trade here, though, may just be too good, and he's killed the Nexus of MC. He's got the better upgrades. They're really showing here. 1-1 against 0-0 for MC. MC blinking in, taking out a lot of these remaining units. If he can get the medevacs, he'll actually be able to potentially turn this game around for him a little bit. And Polt with a little bit of hesitation here, but does decide to engage. Remember those 1-1 upgrades coming so much into play here. MC desperately dropping force fields, but again, the third base has been completely decimated for MC.
And we see a continual DT harassment coming out here. It is stopping Polt from dropping all of the mules that he could right now. He is banking a little bit of energy on all of his orbitals. One at 83, one at 125, the other one at 59. So suddenly the threat of the DTs is greatly minimized. However, it's not stopping MC. He continuously uses this pylon just to the east of the third to do as much damage as he can. Now he finds a missile turret in the mineral line, so he'll try to retain that unit and just keep him back.
Keeps him back, and the +1 armor actually really helping out Polt there, able to save an SCV because of that. And I think for that reason, it's no longer just a one-swipe kill for MC. He's going to well, I'm not even going to sacrifice this DT. I'm going to go ahead and send it home and save it. He's remaking his third base right now, but I think he's going to lose it because this army is already on the way over here. He's going to have to cancel that right away. There's no way he can get back in time.
And now MC is a little out of position, but what could happen here is if he goes in for the flank, he might be sandwiched by Polt's additional reinforcing units as well. He wants to drop those storms down, but looking for a good opportunity, he decides to drop them on the reinforcements in the back, which I think was a great decision there because he has essentially moved away that forward army all the way down to that southeast base. And MC, I thought he might be in a lot of trouble there, but that was a great decision to drop the storm on the enemies in the back.
Yeah, the enemies on the back, you're exactly right. If he tried to storm the other army, it would have worked okay, but he lost so much in the process. Polt, though, still does have a great position on him. He's surrounded here, and the third Nexus had to be canceled. That's something that we cannot forget about because Polt is still significantly ahead in supply. He has a much better army, and he's got the better economy as well. If you look at the resource at the top right, you can see he's consistently ahead of MC, and now he's just fighting with better army against weak army, kiting these zealots forever, and he will actually clean them up. There's no way for MC to even retreat with the concussive shells. GG. Polt ties it up 1-1.
Really solid game there from Polt, even though there was the slight contain there early on by MC. Polt taking a few advantages, even though his drops were stopped too. Guys, what do you think over there of that last matchup? And we're tied 1-1.
Polt actually scared me for a second there. With that one drop, I thought normally that partying style play has actually fallen a little out of favor lately because if a Terran waits for 6 to 8 medevacs and the Protoss does not have Storm up, does not have Colossi up, the game's pretty much over. Terran can just attack, move, and no matter how many gateway units you have, you're going to die. But with Polt throwing those units in that drop there over the main, that really reduced his army size. And I was worried for a second if those died, MC might have a chance to make that build, work out. So it was, it was definitely a great game. And, Polt was able to save those units, then regroup his army, and take that through to the win.
Yeah, regrouping, I think, is the best word for it there. He was able to kind of salvage an early deficit that he had to deal with, but he had the third base up for a really long time. And when he killed the Nexus of MC because his units were out of position, that was uncharacteristic for MC. We saw him in the first game having so much map awareness and control that I was a little bit surprised that he got caught out of position there with his Nexus. He was moving his units out on the map, and then when he lost that Nexus the first time, he wasn't even able to remake it. And from there, Polt with his better upgrades and better economy just started to snowball out of control.
It's actually interesting because if you have that tower, you know, you'd think, okay, well, he's got vision. Any attack at the third, he's going to know about it. But, like, unlike, say, a Zerg player who tries to put an Overlord down at that little path that leads to the third, didn't quite have that.
He
so
didn't have
was
anything to spot.
Way out of position.
Yeah, the Watchtower doesn't cover all of the vision, and Polt very smartly went around the range of the vision, and he just literally didn't see it.
Any final thoughts over there from the desk?
Yeah, I mean, definitely MC had that vision, but even if he saw the army coming, I don't think he could have stopped it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw even with him warping additional units, and even though Polt actually had about 10 of his units shooting the simulators during that entire battle, Polt still won it pretty convincingly. So it was more just a matter of, you know, MC did not have his tech up to the point he needed to. He went for the 8-gate push. And, you know, since Polt had so many units, he couldn't do any damage with that, and that was pretty much that was that.
You're right. Well, we're going to go into our third and final game on Shakura's Plateau between these two players. I cannot wait.
Going to decide it all, and after game number 1, MC looking really strong and